Happy anniversary to the Meadows Church. It is crazy, it's been 6 years, but God continues to sustain us, grow us, and do great things amongst us. I just want to take this time to go back over the last year and really just look and remember all the great things that God did through us. Shortly after the anniversary, Benson, JD, and I all traveled to Lebanon to really support one of our most significant global outreach and our mission there. We first entered into this partnership in Lebanon 2 years ago, and it was our 5-year commitment to support specifically Sarah and Charbel as they lead at the Clementia Learning Center, but also use that to start a church to reach Syrian refugees that are all around them, as well as the Lebanese citizens, their neighbors. And so that's why JD, Benson, and I were there to train up Sarah and Charbel and their team, and it was just amazing to see God at work. This past year for Lebanon has been chaotic. Shortly after we left, they went into an economic collapse, and then COVID, and then political strife and struggle. And so please continue to pray for Lebanon. And then when we came back from Lebanon, we were focused on our next big event, which was our Christmas party. At our 5th annual Christmas party, we had over 200 people come in to celebrate. Neighbors, many of those who've never really celebrated Christmas at home before, came out, and we just had this amazing party connecting with one another. And that was just beautiful to see as we were able to share the Christmas message and really the whole spirit that we give because Jesus first gave to us. And then the year 2020 hit, and we ended up here. We had our last in-person service on March 8th. I remember it well because that was also the Sunday for our annual general meeting. And then Julie and I went on a vacation to Florida, and this pandemic breaks out, and that changed everything. That next Sunday, we did our first live stream all the way from being in Florida, but it worked. And it was all of us trying to wrap our minds around, just ask God, what is it that you want us to do? And that changed a lot of things, in which we're still going through today. We quickly moved to online using Zoom like almost everyone else. We were streaming online every Sunday morning at 10 a.m., which is what we're still doing today. We started sending out encouragement videos. We started meeting in our missional communities online. We started reaching out and connecting with one another and just making sure our people and our neighbors were safe, had the supplies they needed, and made sure that no one was going lonely. But with many of us, we didn't know when this was going to end. And so we were praying and asking God, what shall we do? Then Easter was coming, and the pandemic was not slowing down. And yet we still pushed forward and were able to meet online and have our Easter service. It was one of a kind, but one that was really impacting on us. Then came the announcement in June, where churches were allowed to meet at 30% capacity in person. But for us, that didn't really apply. With us renting Stephen Lewis Secondary School, we were on their schedule. We were looking at what they were allowing us to do. And then shortly after came the decision to cancel those school permits, not just to the end of September, but even into the unknown future. But Jesus has called his church to gather. Even in the midst of a pandemic, we can still do it with wisdom, with safety, but we still need to gather together to be the body of Christ. And so as you remember, we had our first in-person service. It was outdoors at Church of Meadows Commons, and it was awesome to see us gather again together. And that was just such a highlight of my summer for us. And then we said, hey, we need to keep this going. And that's why we ended up here at Hope Church Mississauga, renting their facilities every 2 to 3 weeks. And so our anniversary is our 4th service doing this. And this is kind of us getting back into the habit of meeting. We are not sure what the next year holds for us. Today is radically different than it was a year ago. But yet, you know what? Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And he is our hope, and he is the one guiding us through this. And so our future is filled with hope. Not because we're optimistic about how things look in the future, but because we know who Jesus is. Jesus is the one who's overcome the dead. He has given us life, and that is the reason why we exist. That is the reason why we made it to year 6 and why God is going to continue to use us over the next year. And so when we look back and celebrate this past year, let us also look forward and celebrate and remember and give thanks to Jesus for what he's going to do in this next year ahead.